May I please report, Counsel, Stanley Ford. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Riley. You know that. We've talked at length. Prosecutor laid out a very emotional case, and he said thank you for your service. We do thank you. But we all understand that this is an emotional process. Mr. Gorman talked to you and Board Deer a little bit about treating this as an academic exercise, because in order for a fair trial to occur, you have to do it without emotion. And it's hard to do. It's almost inhuman to do, based on the fact that there are 9 deaths as a result of this indictment. All right? But you have to treat this as an academic exercise without emotion in order for a fair trial to occur. You're going to hear about the investigations done in this matter. You're going to hear from the State Fire Marshal. You're going to hear from the Akron Fire Department. You're going to hear from the Akron Police Department. A lot of the evidence that you're going to be presented to is not a dispute. It's not a dispute that there were 3 fires set. It's not a dispute that all 3 fires were set intentionally. And it certainly is not a dispute that there were 9 deaths. The coroner, the medical examiner is going to come in, talk to you about the homicides that she ruled, and then the cause and the manner of all 9 of those deaths. Those facts are not in dispute. But again, as defense, we told you, and you know that the state of Ohio has the burden of proof to prove each and every element. Defense has the burden to prove nothing. But what we will do through the course of this trial is point things out in the investigation which raise that reasonable doubt. You're going to hear about the investigation from Detective Stewart. You're going to hear about the investigations from Detective Looney. We will cross-examine them, and we will point out some of the other suspects, other viable suspects, not Stanley Ford, but other folks in the neighborhood. $719 Fultz was the home of Lindell Lewis and Lori Hart. And when I say that a lot of these facts are not in dispute, clearly all these deaths are tragedies. And you will never hear anybody from this side of the table from the defense say anything other than that. We understand that, all right? But still, we have to look at the investigation carefully and critically. Your jobs as jurors in listening to the testimony, listening to the witnesses, is to determine credibility, right? Determine what is credible. You also have to look at the investigation totally and look at that and determine whether it's credible, all right? What we're going to find out, Mr. D'Angelo talked about, in a sense he's called the folks that would come over to Lindell Lewis's house as being rough around the edges, all right? I think what the evidence is going to show is that there is history of drug use, there is history of drug abuse, there is history of folks at that house not paying their dealers for their drugs, and you're going to hear about the conflicts that occur in that house, and you're going to hear about another instance of arson, separate and unrelated to what's being alleged here in the state of Ohio versus Stanley Ford. There's a history of people owing money, and that creates a list of other suspects with well-known motivations, conflicts, and deception. You're going to hear about a man, I think, named Ronald Garrett. Ronald Garrett also at one point in time lived in the basement of Lindell Lewis's house, in addition to Mr. Hughley. And you're going to hear about shortly that he wasn't there the night of the fire, but you're going to hear about Detective Stewart's investigation into him. And I believe you're going to hear Detective Stewart say when she interviewed him, she found him to be evasive, not forthright, inconsistent, vague, and very elusive. In the course of her investigation, you're also going to find Detective Stewart issued subpoenas, obtained documents, and what she did find through the course of her documents was that Lindell Lewis had a life insurance policy. But the beneficiary of that life insurance policy was Lindell's ex-wife, Francine. Detective Stewart then followed up on that information and went out to interview Francine. And she also interviewed her then boyfriend, William Pryor. You heard about the videos, and Detective Stewart at this point in time has seen all these videos. And I think what the evidence is going to show was she went out to talk to Ms. Lewis and Mr. Pryor about this life insurance policy. That William Pryor drove a vehicle that she thought was similar to the one that she saw in the video. That William Pryor fit the general description of the person that she saw in the video. We talk about 693 Fultz. The prosecutor talked to you about Patrick Boggs. Patrick Boggs, again, 12 years before that fire, had been sent to prison for lighting Angela Boggs on fire. He had just been released. He was arrested that evening. And you're going to hear, through cross-examination, all the things that the police department did and didn't do as it relates to their investigation of Patrick Boggs. The videos are grainy at best. Not a single witness is going to come in here and tell you that they've looked at those videos and they've identified from those videos Stanley Ford. You're going to hear about all of the things that they did to try to enhance those videos. I believe they even sent them off to the FBI in Quantico, Virginia. But yet and still, not a single witness is going to come in and talk to you and tell you that that image that they see, they can tell is Stanley Ford. The prosecutor laid out alarm.com. And the records, they say, says that the alarm was shut off by Stanley Ford. You will not hear a single witness from alarm.com tell you that they, number one, even know who Stanley Ford is. That they know that Stanley Ford did anything, let alone turn on or turn off an alarm. I believe the person that's going to testify from alarm.com is going to do it from the state of Minnesota. Probably has never been to the state of Ohio, and certainly doesn't know Stanley Ford from Adam. Stanley Ford has entered a plea of not guilty of these charges. We told you about that in voir dire. He has said through his not guilty plea, I did not do this. The state has the burden of proof to prove to you with the type of evidence that you would use in the most important of your own affairs. You have to keep an open mind and listen to the entire presentation. You cannot rush to any determinations as to what happened until you've heard all of the evidence. All right? The prosecutor laid out 4 things that he said were the key. Number 1, motive. Number 2, the video. Number 3, alarm.com. All will reveal his ID. Alarm.com can't tell you Stanley Ford did anything. The videos cannot tell you Stanley Ford did anything. Motive is not an element. I think the judge might even tell you that. Motive is not an element in these particular crimes, or any crime in the state of Ohio. Hold the state to that burden of proof. And talk about 1370. You were out at that scene. Pay attention to 730 Fultz, which is right next to 1370 Hillcrest. in the area behind that house. You saw it today when you were on your jury view. All right? Take in everything carefully and critically. Do not rush to conclusions, the same conclusions that the police department rushed to. All right? Judge it carefully, critically, and when you do that, you'll know they have not proven Stanley Ford's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.